Our speaker this morning is Nicole Moran. Nicole is a postgraduate student from Great Falls, Virginia. She plays varsity field hockey and varsity golf, and she's her own roommate. Nicole.
Good morning. I hope you're all having a great day. So today, unfortunately, I will not be telling you a funny story, regaling the tales of my embarrassing moments. Trust me, there are plenty. I am also not here to air out any grievances I have. I am simply up here today to tell you a story about mountains. We all have a personal mountain we want to ascend in our lifetime. As I think back to the first mountain I took on, it was Mount Fuji. I recall waking up in the morning, looking at myself in the mirror, telling myself I will reach the top of this mountain. Granted, I did not know if this was achievable, but like most things, I set unrealistic goals for myself. The first part of the climb was a walk in the park. Circular rocks made up the flat path until we reached the 7th station. The flat ground formed into large, slippery boulders stacked on top of each other. The rain pelted us as we scaled the ginormous rocks that made up the mountainsides. The once dry gloves that covered my hands were now soaked in rainwater. My hands have felt frigid as they shook with each passing moment. I groaned and complained, wearing hiking boots and layers of warm clothes, while I saw a group of barefoot monks pass us, barefoot. They were chanting Japanese folk songs and blowing into a conch shell as they easily went up the mountain, wondering to myself, how are they doing this? Why are they doing this? Walking barefoot, grinning and bearing the jagged rocks beneath their feet without any hesitation. I thought to myself, if they could do it with nothing on their feet, I could suck it up and continue climbing. We scaled the volcanic rock one careful step at a time, following a yellow string attached to the stakes directing us to the peak, knowing that one misstep could lead to a fatal drop. We came upon the station before the summit. I stood there frozen as the world continued around me. Shook from what seemed to be an unconscious state, I heard my mom exclaim, "Come on, Nicole, we need to find your brothers." That wasn't necessarily the way she phrased it, but I digress. Love you, Mom. I kept telling myself to count to 10 for calming breaths to get me through this perilous climb. Finally, we arrived at this old shack and knocked on the door and was reunited with my brothers. The next morning, we planned our descent from the mountain. We had no clue how to get down the mountain because our guide was nowhere to be found. The sky was serene and peaceful without a cloud in sight. We began to descend the slope and reached a dead end, of course. Realizing we went the wrong way, we retraced our steps and chose a different path to go down. The soil beneath me had a burnt orange shade, almost like what you'd see on Mars. Miles leading down the mountain became like a seamless stroll. I began to remove layers and bask in the shining sun. I was confident and relieved that the treacherous and exhausting journey was over. However, my serene peace and sense of accomplishment did not last long. As I gained speed down the hill, once I saw that we were reaching the end of the trail, I took one misstep, and the Mars-like terrain moved beneath me, launching me into the ground. The crimson blood quickly covered my hands and knees. I climbed Japan's tallest mountain through a monsoon, altitude sickness, and overall exhaustion, and I managed to fall during the easiest part of the climb. That's such a me thing to do, isn't it? In my mind, I had conquered one of the mountains in my life. Although blood and tears were shed, I still overcame one of the many mountains in my life. Life has various mountains. You will scale and descend, but you need to make sure to keep climbing. Everyone will fall, but leaning upon others and faith will lead you forward. As a society, we're hesitant to share our own struggles and seek guidance. Some may have a smooth road, whereas others may have mountains to ascend. No one person has the same exact struggles. However, if we all take the route of joining together to guide each other rather than against each other, we can find unity. We will face our individualized mountains, whether they are rolling or jagged. Surrounding yourself with those that encourage you will only strengthen your journey. While I climbed one of the most physically exhausting mountains of my life, having my mom's encouraging words throughout made for a much memorable experience. I also left that mountain with a story I will tell my whole life. Life does not contain only physical mountains, but also figurative ones. We all will have mountains to climb in our life, and I have one in particular I will continue to climb my whole life. Squiggling snakes slither across the white terrain. The blurry animals are consumed by the white snow. The animals are apparent but still unseen. I am unable to make out what kind of creature they are. Just like the animals, the black lines dance across the pages. I am unable to comprehend the words they form. Living with dyslexia has always caused clouds of doubt to surround me whenever I am asked to read aloud. I would ask myself if my mind was playing tricks on me whenever, as words jumbled and letters switched. Any assignment that required writing or reading felt like it would take a millennia to complete. I would dread any spelling or grammar tests because I never wanted my classmates to see me struggling. However, I still had the compulsion to perform perfectly, studying lesson plans and previewing texts before class to ensure that I could read without stumbling. My goal was to prove I was just as smart, if not smarter, than my classmates. I didn't allow dyslexia to be my excuse. Instead, I used it as a reason to work harder. Although I would push myself to perform as well as my classmates, I continued to doubt my academic ability. However, I was given external validation of my intelligence when I was accepted into my public school's gifted program. This gave me the opportunity to learn at an above grade level curriculum and encouraged me to set high expectations for myself. This set me on a path to overcoming my academic insecurities. Because I wanted to reach the high academic standards of the program, I was secretive and would never talk about my learning difference. I was afraid that if people knew I had dyslexia, they would see me as less than. I finally learned to embrace my dyslexia at my previous high school, where I was required to attend sessions at the Learning Center. Initially, I was resentful towards being placed on a short list of ninth graders that were labeled as academic risk, solely because of their learning difference. However, despite my initial hesitation, I was given the blessing of two amazing instructors in the Learning Center who taught me cognitive skills and strategies to scaffold my approach to learning. As I approached learning differently, my mindset of hiding dyslexia completely changed. I soon realized that all I needed was to learn in a way that suited my strengths. Now I even have the capacity to tutor and help younger students with the same learning differences. As I came to terms with my own style of learning, I realized that I can thank dyslexia for my confidence in my communication skills. Because I felt unable to communicate through reading or writing, I discovered that I excelled with auditory learning. The process of verbalizing my thoughts helped my brain correctly organize the letters and words. In class discussions, I would be succinct and persuasive knowing that the academic avenue that I felt most confident in. Modeling my performance in class discussions, I can imagine myself as a successful lawyer. I see myself approaching the well as I command the courtroom with my voice, acknowledging the judge and jury as I tell my client's story. I hope to use my voice and the skills I've developed as a result of my dyslexia to ensure that justice is served to those who cannot speak for themselves. To quote Nick from New Girl, I still don't know if I can actually read. I've just memorized a lot of words. I will always seem to be a slow reader. And in addition to that, I'll make the occasional Bella Thorne joke about reading signs. However, I am a true believer that everything happens for a reason. I would like to believe that we have endured all the heartache and trauma in order to make joy mean something so much more. I believe that God has a plan for all of us, and these mountains you face will contribute to your creation as an individual. Yes, dyslexia has given me challenges, but it has shaped me into who I am today. I will leave you with this thought. Regardless of what paths or mountains you will climb, God and his love for you will always be with you. You will reach the peak and look down at all that you have accomplished. You may experience sadness and trauma, but that will make your bright days that much brighter. As a Hill community and world, we are going through such a momentous time in history. Many global catastrophes and life-altering events have occurred in such a short time. And I say that with admiration as I look out to all of you in the audience with smiles and expressions revealed finally on your faces. And I know I have not been a part of the Hill community very long, but I have truly enjoyed and been transformed by my time here. And I want to say thank you for being so welcoming and for being so uniquely Hill. Seriously, it's really hard to explain this place to anyone. I wish you the best of luck conquering your mountains. Thank you.